What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Zachary Smith. Before we dive into today's video, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you have not already, so you get notified every time that a new video is posted. It is the big 2025, and I have still not made good on my promise of uploading non-wrestling content on this channel. I promise that it is eventually coming. No idea when that's going to happen, though it's certainly not today, because as you can tell by the title of this video, if you've already clicked on it and you've made it this far, we're doing Backlash predictions. WWE's PLE following up WrestleMania, 5-match card, which I feel like is pretty much the Triple H playbook for a PLE. That is not the Royal Rumble. And I don't know, War Games might also be 4. And then, of course, Mania being 2 nights, and it's like 6, 7 matches each night. But anyways, a standard PLE card under Triple H has been 5 matches. That's what we got here. I actually want to start off talking about the match that we are not getting, that I had actually already created an overlay for because I assumed that we were. And that is Logan Paul versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. That match not taking place on this card. It looked to me like it was going to, and they're still kind of doing something there. I don't know if he's going to end up being the opponent for Jay at Money in the Bank, if they're just going to do that on Raw or something like that, if they're going to end up doing a triple threat, because Jey Uso goes out to the ring, calls out Logan Paul, and a different Paul shows up. Paul Heyman shows up. Seth Rollins ends up being granted a championship match that night. Maybe Jey Uso's best match as a singles competitor. I would certainly put it up there. Really good match. And then obviously shenanigans take place. Braun Breaker obviously involved. Sami Zayn returning just 1 week after being beaten up by Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, and then CM Punk also coming out at the end as well. So it ends with a no contest, DQ, but I'm assuming, but like the bell never rang, so I don't even know what they eventually actually called it. But yeah, no Logan Paul and Jey Uso on this card. We'll see if maybe it was nixed, but at the same time, they're still doing something there. Obviously, Logan Paul took out Jey Uso after Raw went off air. They like to do that now, where they have clips that just go to social and stuff like that. So we'll see. Still something in the weeds there in terms of that, but I know there was a lot of pushback. People didn't want that to be on this card or anything like that. I thought it made sense as a first Jey Uso feud post-championship win, because that's obviously Logan was not going to take the belt off him, so I thought it was just an easy way to get him some championship wins under this reign and propel him forward. And we know Logan can go in the ring to an extent, but I don't know about with Jey Uso what that chemistry would look like. I mentioned Jey Uso just had his best match as a singles competitor. In my mind, Seth Rollins pulling that out of him is not a surprise. In terms of what it would look like against Logan Paul, I'm not sure. So let's talk about the match first and foremost, I guess, now actually diving in. That I would say is replacing what I thought was going to be on this, and that's the WWE Intercontinental Championship match between Dom Mysterio and Penta. Yes, Penta in another Intercontinental Championship match. And that's, I guess, I don't know if it's my issue with it necessarily. I'm excited for the match. I think it's gonna be a very good match, but you keep putting Penta in these championship matches where it's, to me at least, spoiler alert, who I'm going with here, Dom Mysterio is going to win this. They're not going to end this title reign this quickly. Would be a massive swerve, in my opinion, if they decide to do something with Finn Balor costing him or whatever it might be. But, Penta, this will be his 3rd championship match now. Or is it his 4th? 3rd or 4th championship match now since coming into the WWE just a couple months ago. And obviously, well, I guess it's 4 months now. It's crazy. It's been that long. It was the 2nd Raw on Netflix, correct? But anyways, I just, unsuccessful championship match after unsuccessful championship match. I don't know if they're just biding time until whenever the WWE draft is eventually going to be, and then eventually get him back with his brother Rey Fenix, if that's the idea. I don't know, but obviously he's been getting ton of fan support for Penta. I think the fans would love to see him win a solo championship. I don't see it here. I think this is going to be a really good match, but I don't see a way that Dom doesn't retain here. Again, would be a massive swerve to me to have Dom not have a true successful championship defense and then have him drop it at the very next PLE just a few weeks later after the big pop at WrestleMania, which they could have really I don't know that I want to say they didn't do enough with, but that initial reaction in Vegas to me could have been parlayed into something huge, like this massive face turn for Dom Mysterio, where like he's the one that leaves the Judgment Day behind and stuff like that. And I don't know if that should have been like the long term direction, but like based off that one, just the initial reaction to him winning the belt, I was curious to see what direction we would go afterwards. And they're still obviously building the tension between him and Finn. Maybe that's who eventually takes the belt off of him. Maybe he gets involved here, but doesn't actually like cost Dom the match. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I don't see a way that Dom Mysterio loses the belt this early in the run here. And there's honestly like more matches that I want to see that Finn Balor feud. So I'm, as much as I love Penta, this is not a spot that I necessarily am dying to see him in. So glad that Penta's on a PLE card here, but is what it is. Switching to the Women's Intercontinental Championship, Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch. I'm not as chalked with this one as I've seen a lot of people be, where they just assume Becky Lynch is going to win this title and take it off of Lyra. And let me tell you why. I think possible Bayley comes back here and costs Becky the belt, just the way like Becky's been talking reckless about Bayley. Obviously, like very clearly, she's like, "Hey, we don't even got to do an investigation. I was the one that took Bayley out." So, very clearly, she's going to be coming back looking for revenge. When is that going to be? Could it be as early as Backlash here? Is that something they're setting up for like a SummerSlam or something like that down the line later in the summer? Could it be a triple threat? And I think that's where my mind goes to. Like, Bayley comes back here, costs Becky this match, but Lyra's also upset because she like wanted to just beat her clean, did not want Bayley getting involved and stuff like that. It ends up being, a triple threat feud down the line. Would they do it as early as Money in the Bank, or would that be saved? Like I said, SummerSlam, the big show of the summer, now going to 2 nights. I'm curious to see the way that goes. So yeah, I'm gonna go against the chalk here. So I'm gonna say Lyra retains the championship. I don't think she's pinning or submitting Becky Lynch in the process of doing so. I think Bayley's going to cost her. So I guess I say Becky Lynch wins by DQ is my official prediction there. I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with Becky Lynch taking this title. This is something I mentioned for WrestleMania. If you guys go back and watch that, like the way too early WrestleMania predictions video that I made, this was my idea for the WrestleMania match, because I thought Becky could come down to this division, really elevate a title that needed elevated. Like Lyra putting on great matches and everything like that, but just in terms of like looking for that one feud, that story to tell to elevate the title, that was not happening. Like she was just having really good matches and defending it all the time. This is something that like we can really sink our teeth into, and I think this is a great direction to go. I'm just, it just sucks that it's potentially the last defense that we would be doing this, taking the belt off her. But maybe, gets right back in the chase. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe Becky takes it off of Lyra here, but then Lyra's back on the chase, winning back at SummerSlam, Survivor Series, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to say Lyra keeps the championship on her, even though Becky Lynch is going to win this match by DQ. The match on the card that I'm most excited for, the United States Championship match, Jacob Fatu, after winning the belt off LA Knight at WrestleMania. Those two in this match, along with Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, who also had a match at WrestleMania. So they're just combining 2 WrestleMania matches here. This is the way to do it for me. Like all these other matches, obviously Dom and Penta were in that Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania, Fatal 4-Way together and stuff like that. But like the way that they've been doing the Backlash PLEs in past years has kind of been like, hey, let's put a bow on WrestleMania, if you will. WrestleMania Backlash. And I really like the way that they're kind of incorporating 2 different stories now into one for the U.S. title picture here, which I think is really important on SmackDown. Like you look at John Cena, the champion on that brand, we know he's not going to be around a ton. He's a part-time champion. So this United States Championship, you're going to have main eventers like Drew McIntyre, like Damian Priest. I would go as far as saying these other 2 guys, Jake Fatu and LA Knight, could certainly be in the main event picture themselves. That's the title that they're competing for right now on SmackDown, because John Cena's never around to go after, though he does have a match on this PLE. But that's just kind of the way that I'm viewing it through this summer. For however long John Cena's to be holding that title, this U.S. Championship is going to be very important on SmackDown. Jacob Fatu in this title defense, he's keeping this title. I think Damian Priest is probably the one that I would say is going to eat this pin here. I don't know if you'd want to have Jacob Fatu go over on LA Knight yet again. And LA Knight, he's one of the names to watch. Not necessarily my prediction. Obviously, we'll save that for another video to win the Money in the Bank. But I think he's got to be like at least in consideration there to potentially move up to that level. Drew McIntyre back-to-back could certainly be in play there too. I'm not, discrediting Damian Priest's body of work or anything like that. I think he overachieved from expectation in his World Heavyweight Championship run. Just not something that I think he's going to be back into that picture. Drew McIntyre certainly could be the guy to go after Cena. And, LA Knight, if it's somebody else that's not Jey Uso, like that would obviously be weird. We'll see who ends up being the one to take the belt off Jey. Seth Rollins. Could it eventually get involved in that scene, depending on how, like the Raw draft or the WWE draft takes place and how the brand shifts, shake up and everything like that. So that's a name to keep in mind for me for the Money in the Bank. But yeah, Jacob Fatu comes out of this one, still U.S. champion. I don't see it going a different direction, to be quite honest with you. Like, does anybody see a world where Jacob Fatu doesn't come out of this as champion? That's what I'll say about this card. I mean, Lyra Becky, I think there's some speculation. I think you could make the case. I did make the case for the way that it goes against the chalk. The other matches, though, I'm not seeing it. And certainly including this one. Let's go to it. Pat McAfee versus Gunther. This is one of the matches of all time that's going to take place at Backlash St. Louis. Don't know how we got here. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall during these creative pitches for this match taking place. Gunther attacks Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, following them, calling him out for losing to Jey Uso, and obviously the support that they've shown Jey Uso on his run to taking that title off of Gunther. And, Michael Cole mentions that Gunther tapped out. And then, all hell breaks loose on Raw, and he ends up choking out Pat McAfee after he stood up for Michael Cole, which is how this match got set up. So, two different directions. I mean, either way ends up with Gunther winning. Is this going to be just like a squash match, lasts no time whatsoever, or is he just going to beat the ever-loving piss out of Pat McAfee, leave him super bloody, choke him out unconscious in the center of the ring, something like that? And it's, takes a bit of time because he refuses to win. Like, he could easily pin him 1, 2, 3, but he raises his arm up or something like that. Like, wants to inflict as much damage and pain as possible. Going from World Heavyweight, Gunther's first match after losing the World Heavyweight Championship is against Pat McAfee. Again, I would just have loved to have been a fly on the wall during these creative pitches for what in the world the thought process was for this being the direction that they go for him post World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, I go away for a little bit. You know what I mean? I think he could have taken a nice little vacation after the championship reign and come back and build back up. But this is the direction they're going. We'll see which direction it goes. But either way, Gunther's obviously going to win this match, and we'll see what the path forward is for him. I'm sure he'll be involved in the, King of the Ring scene. Man, would he be a weird entrant in the Money in the Bank, right? I mean, it's very possible. Like, we're just so used to him holding the championship, so haven't really thought about it. But odd style if you have him involved in the Money in the Bank picture, but can't discount it. And then finally, John Cena versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship here in Randy Orton's backyard of St. Louis. Sorry, pal. You're not winning the belt in your hometown. I've seen a lot of people saying maybe they should do the callback where Cena slaps the ref instead of Randy like it was last time to get himself disqualified, obviously retain the belt that way. Not necessarily the direction that I think they should go. Cena's obviously going to win here. He's going to retain the title at the very least. If that is the direction they go, then I guess you could say Randy Orton's going to win the match, but John Cena retains the title. But I don't even see that happening. The big question to me is it, do we get shenanigans or is this just straight up? Obviously Travis Scott got involved at WrestleMania. Hard not to laugh just getting that out of my mouth. But no Rock. And then you hear The Rock go on Pat McAfee's show following it and say, like, yeah, basically Elimination Chamber was because of ticket sales being low, which, feel how you want about it. I get it. Like, it's not like I'm naive to what's going on behind the curtain, but I'm not necessarily a fan of the way that, The Rock peels the curtain back as far as he does. I would like some stuff to be kept close to the vest. I think that's, you want your imagination to be at play when you're following professional wrestling. So But either way, getting off track here a bit. I'm just curious to see what type of shenanigans or whatever will go into the result here. John Cena is obviously going to walk out of this with the championship, but does this set anything else up? I assume that, with limited dates, we're not going to see more than just this match, this setup with Cena and Randy Orton. I know they're billing it's the last time ever, so that seems not necessary to say, but even in like a championship or I'm sorry, a tag team setting or something like that, I don't see it. I don't think that they would bill it this way. So probably the last time we see John Cena versus Randy Orton, obviously, grew up on this feud happening. Big part of my wrestling fandom was this feud. So I don't know how good of a match it's going to be, but I'm excited to see them lock it up one more time at the very least. And cool for Randy Orton, to get this one in St. Louis. Unfortunately, will not be winning the belts with that being the case. But, what pictures are painted here? What paths forward did both of these guys go? How long away is Cody Rhodes going to be? Is he coming back already? I don't necessarily think so, but, we'll see. We'll see what type of involvement we have. But that's it for me. Appreciate you guys tapping in for another one over here. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you hadn't already. Again, appreciate that. At some point, we will get some non-wrestling content on the channel, but really enjoy making these videos. Wrestling such a big passion of mine, outside of Pittsburgh sports, and being able to make some videos about it here and there. I've really enjoyed it. So appreciate you if you've been along for the ride. But like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Hit me in the comments. Let me know your predictions, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.